All right, it's getting later and later on Sunday here at New York Comic Con, and I am joined by a representative from Megabloks. Can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. My name is Bisma, and I'm really excited to be here at New York Comic Con.
All right. Now, you guys have a big new license pickup, I'm noticing. There's a very subtle poster behind you, which is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Now, 2 years ago when I was here, I was talking to a colleague of yours about the way that you've kind of struck out an identity for Megabloks in the toy aisle, in the more crowded now construction brick toy aisle, by moving towards a lot of these kind of adventure properties, boys' toys properties, stuff that's, the construction is still there, but there's also an aspect of action figure to it, like with the Halo minifigures, it looks like with the Call of Duty figures as well, Skylanders and World of Warcraft, and I'm just curious how the Call of Duty link happened, because I'm really surprised by it. It's a very cool idea, and it seems very logical given you do Halo.
Yeah.
But when did this come about?
Sure. So actually, we already have a partnership with Activision because last year we came out with Megabloks Skylanders.
Yeah.
So Activision obviously has Skylanders and Call of Duty, so really it's an extension of our partnership. And yes, because of our our past success in actually taking video game franchises and making great construction toys out of them. That's really why we are really excited to launch the Call of Duty collector construction sets. You mentioned the micro action figures. So what we're really excited about right now, because this is really targeted to collectors, fans of the franchise, and just people who love to build. We've taken our micro action figures that are already really detailed and cool, and taken them to the next level. So the new Call of Duty collector construction set figures are actually the most articulated, the most detailed, and the most customizable ever. They're about 20 parts each to build.
Oh, wow. And
they have custom gear up, so you can actually mix and match them. And we're about 30 carat figs in the launch line. With all of the customization, you can probably have over 1,000 combinations.
Nice.
Yeah.
In terms of articulation, because that is something that I found when I first messed with your Halo minifigures, that really caught my eye, because I hadn't seen a company try to take the minifigure that far.
Yeah.
So with the Call of Duty ones, clearly they're on par with the Halo figures. Is there anything new in that build, or is it?
Absolutely. Actually, I think I'm proud to say, and the whole team is proud, that these are actually more articulated. They have multiple articulation points, even more than Halo. But more importantly, they're the most posable figures. You can actually get them as realistic as possible.
And so that would put them on par with, say, like the 4-inch scale of action figure that occupies another aisle.
Similar to it, we are pretty proud to say that you can get so much of that posability and articulation in a much smaller micro action figure.
And that's so cool to hear, because I said this 2 years ago, but I love seeing how, once upon a time there are a bunch of companies making construction bricks. There's the big one, there's a couple other ones around there, and it seems like going out for this identity is just such an interesting choice to make without losing the construction brick side of what you do.
Yeah.
So with Call of Duty, this seems like the biggest push you've got going on right now here at Comic Con. Is this going to be going on for a good couple of years, you think? Like, is it going to synchronize with the video game release?
Well, our toys and sets will be always based on the overall franchise. The New York Comic Con is actually the launch event, so the product just started hitting stores about 2 weeks ago. It's available at Toys R Us right now. So actually, we have a lot of people going to Toys R Us Times Square and FAO Shorts here in New York to actually trying to look for those products. So it's just hitting shelves. So yes, we think it's going to be, here for years.
Very cool. And you've got other properties, of course, going on as well. You mentioned Skylanders.
Yes.
Actually, I hadn't made that Activision connection. It makes complete sense now.
Exactly.
You also are the guys who are doing the construction figures for Power Rangers.
Yes.
I saw that you created actually a little set based on the 20th anniversary on the shelves at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Is that relationship kind of just continuing as is? Is there anywhere new that it's exploring, or is it just kind of sailing the boat that it's on?
So for Power Rangers, no, we right now we're continuing to work with Saban and promoting new toys, and we're working on new stuff for next year.
Cool. And this is kind of just more of a general question. The fans of construction blocks, and I'm very casual with construction blocks. I just kind of like picking up a set now and then.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. But through the coverage I do of them and the people I talk to who are very into construction blocks, fans can get extremely divisive over the different companies that make them. And the fans can have a very strong opinion on this is the company I'm with, or I don't touch that other company. But within the industry, and I'm not saying like you have to name any names or anything, but when you guys look at the other products on the aisle, in the construction block world, do you guys see that as do you see it as a direct competition, or do you see it more as everyone's starting to fill their own spot in that aisle, like with you guys and your minifigures, the more build-oriented stuff that comes out of other companies?
Yeah.
Do you try to compete directly with them, or do you feel it's more like you're all starting to figure out your own identity that can live among each other on the aisle?
I think what's important is that consumers are going to figure out what's most relevant to them. There's a lot of different toys out there. There's a lot of different sets out there, and that appeal to different markets, really. So, what we are focused on is developing the best products that's most innovative, that the fans are going to enjoy. We get feedback from our fans all the time, and that's what we're just focused on making the best product possible, and we're sure the fans are going to decide for themselves.
And I guess that's one of my last questions. It relates to a product line that's now coming to a bit of a close. But with the World of Warcraft license, that was a very interesting direction to go. You were doing Halo and Power Rangers, which are very kind of science fiction, very futuristic lines. And with World of Warcraft, it moved towards this fantasy approach and also this fantasy creature approach.
Right.
And were there some lessons taken from that being applied to Call of Duty? Like with World of Warcraft, there were the customizable armor sets for those minifigures.
Yeah.
Would it be right to say that that's kind of evolved into what's going on with the customizability on Call of Duty's minifigures?
For sure, we know customization is a really important element in the micro-action figures. I don't think it's evolved. I think it's really different. The level of detail that we have in our Warcraft figures that are still available actually right now are unique and detailed in a different way. Whereas the collector construction sets from Call of Duty are really articulated and posable in a different way. So I think it's more about differentiating them so that the fans and the consumers that are interested in those franchises can relate, so that they're as authentic as possible.
Yeah. And of course, you can have the fun of taking all these very different brands and kind of just putting them all in the same building block sandbox and having Halo men shoot at dragons, etc.
We love to see fans' creations of really mixing all of the franchises and coming up with their own creations. We always get incredible photography, even toymations. So that's really what's all about, making sure we're making the best product and we get fans to show us what they love.
And of course, stop motion being another big part of, surprising big part of construction toys in general. It must be interesting just to see what people come up with. I'm sure the designers must get a real kick out of seeing some of their hard work literally come to life like that.
Absolutely, I think that's one of the most rewarding things when we get submissions and kind of emails from fans and their own creation. They've spent so much time in playing with the toys and really putting something together.
Cool. Well, I'm sure I don't need to tell people where one can find Megabloks. They're on toy aisles at various big box retailers. You've got a website, and also you guys are a little bit based out of Canada, right?
Yeah. We're based out of Montreal. Our whole design team is actually in Montreal.
Oh.
And I would say a lot of our production is actually done in Montreal. So most of the Call of Duty collector construction sets are made in our factories right there.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm from Toronto, so whenever I see a toy line that has a Canadian address on the back, I kind of get a little bit of a feeling of pride there. Well, thanks very much for your True North, strong and free. Thanks very much for your time.
Perfect,
and
thank you.
Hope you have a good last hour or so of the show.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Take care.